Like I will be considering form validation everyone is aware about, or do I need to start from scratch?
What concept, sir?
Audible properly?
Yes, form validations, we are aware.
So basic form validation, how do we validate? Is
Yeah,
it
we are aware of, sir.
okay?
Yes.
Now,
Sir, one thing I want to ask in our project, why we are using template driven form, why we are not using reactive forms?
no, it's not like that. See, you're talking about our project?
Yes.
No, no. Just I said like in one component, if let's say a guy has having two tasks, two pages. So in one component, he can choose template. In one component, he will go reactive. So that all the concept we will cover.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. So this is an create employee component. If you see over here, this is the basic validation. So in template form, most of the validation we write it in the HTML template, correct? Like is it a required, min length, max length, whatever the validation we have, we add it in the input level,
HTML.
means HTML template. So here you can say required, min length, pattern also we have provided. Then we create a hash property, template variable.
Sir, I have one question. See, when suppose I'm trying coding, right? Suppose any part, suppose anywhere we need to use form, but how we means how we understand that we need to use here form. Suppose any filter or that part, anything.
See, form is like, it's up to you. Let's say above the table, let's say you have a table, okay? And above the table,
Okay,
you have two search box
okay,
for
yes,
name and project name and search button. So
yes,
that thing you can create a normal variable, two variable also separate, and you can bind it to the two separate text box, correct?
yes.
Or you can create an object and that object you can also bind. Or you can create reactive form also. Anything is
Okay,
fine.
okay,
It's
okay,
not like this is good or this is bad. Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how do we validate? So first we need to create a hash property like this. Inside this hash property, we store ng model. So whatever the things, whatever the object we have got in ng model, we will be able to access it in this property. And then we show the error like that, name.errors. Inside that, what type of data we get over here? Name.error. What type of data we get it over here? What do we get in errors?
Boolean.
No.
String.
In error, what do we get?
Controls.
Object. Okay,
Object.
okay.
See now we are
So
accessing by using dot. Where do we use dot? In object only, right? Let me print this. The contact number I will print. Okay. Name dot errors with JSON 5.
yes, we will get object.
Okay. Create employee. So by default, you can see in error we have got required true. Only one error is there. But on this contact number, we have added uh, required, min length, and pattern. Three validations are there. So if user has not entered any value, so only required validation will be there. Once user entered the value, see your error got changed. Now you have min length also and pattern also. Getting it?
Yes.
So in error, you get the object, and from that object, you are checking like if this field is there in the object or not. If this field is there, you are showing this. If min length error is there, you are showing this. If pattern error is there, means in this object, is there any field with pattern? Is there any field with min length? Is there any field with required? You are checking. Everyone must be writing code like this. But in error, we get object, and this code is like in my object is required field is there. If it is required field is there, then only our span will be visible. Getting it? let me print this also. Plus equal to I'm printing this. See, what do we got? True. Getting it? And if we pass true to the ng, that particular div will be visible. Now you understood why we are writing like this? It's like we are checking in our object, do we have this field present or not? If it is there, we will get true. If this field is not there, we will get false. Clear? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in error, we get the object and respective validation, whatever the rules we have added, like that we will
So
check.
now, as we have print only required, so now min length is false.
No, see, first, whatever the rules validation you have added, first it will check the required.
Yes,
Okay.
after that, for if we
Once,
haven't,
yeah,
for min
once you
length,
provide the value, then remaining validation it will check. See,
yes, once print the min length also now.
yeah, we have printed error, na? Complete object we are printing. See over here. What do we got in error? Just required. No min length is there, no? Complete, this complete object I'm printing over here. Getting it?
If you fill something in the input box, then it will show min length.
Yeah, then remaining validation will trigger. Because if user has not provided any value, then does it make sense?
No.
Right? That's why. So first priority will be for the required. Okay. So once user provided any value, then your remaining validation will trigger. Clear? See, now in error, we have got min length and pattern. Two errors are there. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so we have added the validation also. Then we have a submit button and we have disabled that also. Okay. So to get the whole form value, what we do on the form, we create the hash property value and what value we store? ng form. What do we have in template form? We have ng form. Same like that in reactive form, what do we have? In template form, sorry,
Form group.
form group, right? So
Yeah.
in template form, this is an intro question. They won't ask you like this. They will ask vice versa. In reactive form, we have form group. Just like that, what do we have in template form? So that is ng form. Okay. So your whole form data, you will get it in the ng form. Okay. Now, so by using this form group variable, we have disabled the button also. See now. So currently my button is disabled. If we provide the required validations, proper data also we provided. Okay. Email address, I think I have not added. Only for first two elements we have added. So now you can see button is enabled. If I remove the contact number or just provide the character also, still my form is not valid. So see button is disabled because I have a validation error in one of the field. See, form button got enabled. Okay, but is this sufficient? We are showing the validation. We are disabling the button also. Is this sufficient or do we need to do something else? Think properly and answer. Whatever we have done, we are showing the validation on every element. We are disabling the form also if home form is valid or not. Is it sufficient? Guys, is it sufficient? What else we can do?
One thing is like instead of doing this validation in front end, we can do the validation in back end, and then we
API
can
side, no?
avoid these all
In API side, you are
validation.
talking, no?
Sorry,
API side,
yeah,
no?
API side, yes.
Yeah, APIs, see, in database also we will have the validation, on API side also we will have the validation, and on front end also we will have the validation. When we create the database, we provide na min length, max length also. But still we do the validate in API side also, and we have to validate on the front end only. Got it? So it's not like if you have the validation on API side, so you won't have the validation on UI side. Let's say you are on click of submit, you are making the API call with wrong data. Unnecessary, you are keeping your server busy. Got it?
Yeah.
So that's why we have to validate on the front end only. Again, validation will be there. Okay. Now, coming back to our question, what still we can do over here?
There's some dynamic pop-ups.
You have to save the data.
I'm just only talking about validation. whatever we have done for validation, is it, what do we say, sufficient, or else something else we need to do?
Instead of disable button, we have to show the enable. When user click the button, that time we have to show the validation.
Yeah, that also. Let's say
Regular
on clicking.
expression we have to add for contact
Yeah,
email.
we have added that. See, no, you're not getting my question. Let's say, forget about the email address, forget about everything. I am just having in my form, I just have two fields, name and the contact number. Okay. Now, currently form is disabled. Okay. Once I provide the proper value, my form button is enabled. Okay. Now everyone clear is?
Yes.
Okay. Is this sufficient? Whatever validation we have added, is this sufficient? Or do we need to do something else? Everyone got my question now?
So to check the no in the contact number is the character or number.
That we have already done now. See,
Okay.
if I'm adding character, button is disabled. Correct? So we have already covered that.
We have to submit the data.
Yeah, obviously we are going to submit. See, now in my form, I have the validation. Okay, form is not valid. My button is also disabled. But I can remove this not disabled thing from over here.
Yes.
Okay, now I can submit the form. So now that was my question. So whatever we did, was that sufficient?
No,
So
we have to
can set
restrict
the
it.
restriction on the TS file also.
Right? So that
Exactly.
was my
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
So consider like if instead of me, interviewer was asking you, he will definitely move to the next question then. Maximum interviewer will repeat this question 2 times. That's it. Otherwise, he will move to your next question. Okay. So what to do now? So because user can inspect and remove that disable flag, still button will get enabled, right? So what to do? How do we validate in .ts? How do we validate in .ts?
We can check if form is filled at the inputs. Input value of all the. Sorry.
Hmm.
We just need to add the conditions, sir.
Like what? That's what I'm asking. What condition you are
Like
writing?
if it is valid, then only we'll allow for API call.
But how
But
valid?
what?
Valid?
That I'm asking now. What code I need to
We,
write?
So there is a syntax called valid. So like if you take if condition and the form,
Where
the
do we have form?
form name.
No, that is in reactive form. In template form, we are using template form now.
Okay.
In reactive form, we have this dot form dot value. But how do we do that same thing over here? See, there is nothing that you can do in template and you cannot do in reactive. Whatever you can do in template, everything can be do in reactive also. Same wise, vice versa also. Correct?
Yeah.
So I'm asking the same thing. Whatever you do in reactive form, this dot form dot valid. How do we do that in template form?
Taking the form reference using attribute child.
Form reference. See, he is near somewhere. How do we, in this form, we have
Reference
created this
variable.
template variable,
That template reference variable you have
right?
created that one.
Template reference variable is already there.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this template reference variable, we will pass as a parameter over here to this function. Okay. Let's get the form. And what will be the data type over here?
ng form.
ng form. Okay. Now here you can validate if this form dot see everything whatever you used to get in template form, same something like coming over here, dirty, disabled, enabled, somewhere valid will be there, invalid. Okay, let's check. And else, we'll add a debugger. Let's check. Okay, so my button type is submit. So that's why on the form I'm using the submit method. Otherwise, if the button type is button, we would have written click function normal. Okay, let's check now. Okay, so let's say my form is not valid, but still I can remove the disabled flag and my button will be enabled, and on click of it, my function will get triggered. So whole form data, you will get it over here as a parameter. Okay, so form dot invalid. See, form is currently invalid, so we have got true. Okay, so it will go to the if block and we will show something error like form is not valid or something. And if we pass the correct value, let's click on submit. Now again, if we check the form dot invalid, we should get false. See, got it? So this is whenever you are working on a form now, every time in reactive form, we by default add it, but in template form also we should be aware. In every API call, whenever you are doing the form validation in template, in your save button call also, you should have this validation. Clear? Understood everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Same thing will be in the reactive also. Okay. Reactive mostly everyone is aware, like because this dot form dot valid we use it. Same thing over here also we can use it. Reactive user. Okay. So that anyone need anything about template form? Any doubts still have? Or we can move to the reactive form. Anyone? Any doubt? Just like required min length pattern, do we have email validation also by default? Sorry, pattern no. Just like required min length, do we have email validation in template without
Yes.
using pattern?
Yes.
Without using pattern.
Yeah, we directly like require we can give email, right?
Email like this.
So input type
Yeah,
email you can show
input
that
type.
one.
Input type
No,
email.
input
Type
type
email.
email.
Type is
Validators
text.
dot
Yeah.
email.
So what? Let's see. What do we get in error? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's remove this pattern for now. It is object. Okay, JSON type. Okay, by default required true. No, only main length we are getting. That is not covering the email.
If you not enter at the rate, then
No, see, null only. That was my question. Have you done something like this? See, this is input type email is by default HTML5 it is providing, but it doesn't cover the validation. Okay. So my question was just like required min length, max length, do we have a by default validation for email in template form?
Don't have, sir.
Right? No, but in reactive form we have it. Correct?
Yes.
Let me show you go to reactive form now. So in reactive form, this is another component. Okay. So in reactive form, we have validator.required, validator.min length. Just like that, we have validator.email also. So we don't need to provide that pattern for validating email. We have directly email validation. Okay. Validators dot pattern is also there. But if you just want to validate email, you don't need to provide the pattern for email. Email is already there. But this same thing is not available in the template form. Okay. If you need to validate email in template form, you can do that by using pattern only. Understood?
Okay.
Okay.
yes.
Now, what is this component reactive user? Let me check the route. Reactive user.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what is meant by change in value in form control and dirty?
Dirty as in, see, in template form you're asking on reactive form. Anywhere, no?
Sir,
In both.
sir, in both we are using
See,
the
touch.
keyword.
What do we mean by touch?
Touch means when we click on input
Right?
field.
When we click, it means user had touched this text box. So touch property will get true. This. Now dirty. So this text box we have binded with this object, with this field, right? Now how we can change the field value? How we can change the text box value? Either user will enter, or let's say on click of some from some event also he can change the value of this particular field. So if user has touched the particular text box, this will get true. But let's say once means you have a very big form, and with some you on change of drop down you are setting some value in the contact number also. So that is like you have make that particular field dirty, means you have not touched that field, but from somewhere you have provided some value to the field. So in that case this flag will get true. Might be hard to understand. Understood or no? We need a scenario, then only you will be able to understand. Okay, let it be. I will try to cover this dirty after. Means, see, the text box value can be changed from form. Directly user will change. But apart from that, form value can be changed also by this form value we are passing, and form dot control we can by set value or no. In reactive form we we use the set value method to change the form value, correct? So let's say this is a mobile number, and on click on change of this name, you are setting this form controller value to character. So still your validation should trigger, na? Getting it? Let's say on change of this name, you are setting some value to the contact number, but you are assigning string value instead of number. So your validation should trigger, na? Should trigger or no?
Yes.
But you didn't touch it, but still your validation should trigger. Na? That's why we have had one more flag, that is for dirty, because your form got dirty. You have
Sir,
said, hmm.
in our website, actually we implemented both of these. Can I share the screen?
Yeah, share it if you have it. Because it needs proper scenario, then only it is easy to understand. Share it.
Is it visible, sir?
Yes.
So Pratik, see, when I click, when I clicked and clicking outside, okay. So it's
Yes.
showing error. This is called touched.
Yeah, got it. Touch. I got it.
This is touched. But
No
what is dirty
problem
means?
in value.
See,
Yes, but
what is dirty means? See, I am typing something, but I clicking back and clearing the what I entered, I am getting error. This is called dirty because I typed something and I cleared it. So that is this situation is called dirty.
Print both the value. Go to your HTML and print both the value, touch and dirty in interpolation.
What, sir?
Go to your HTML and print both the value, touch and dirty. Print it in interpolation. No, not here. In HTML directly. Just use the interpolation and print that touch and dirty. Before that text line number 16. Interpolation email dot touch, in another interpolation email dot dirty. After that some I add a question mark. Why it is asking you to add a question mark? Wait,
Sir, it's optional.
what is
like,
this email then? You have not created. Okay, reactive form is there.
yeah, it's a reactive form.
Okay, fine. Now touch the dirty also. Just provide a hyphen. Just provide hyphen in between those. Email dot dirty. No, not there. After interpolation. Now print dirty. No, email dot dirty. Okay, just see now. When this touch get true and dirty get true. See, by default both are false. Okay. Once user touch and clicked away, your touch should get true. Okay. Now enter the value and remove that value. Same thing what you did earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So see, dirty means whenever your input value got changed. Touch mean user had touch. Refresh one more time. Just touch and click away. Refresh. See, once user touch and click away, only first flag got true because user has just touched. User has not provided value because that control is like that only. User has not provided any value. Once user provide any value, that second flag will get true. Understood now? Dirty?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Let's see some things from reactive form now.
That's why Pratik, like whatever the project is there, just go through the like UI, what's happening, like how the validation's working, like so on the project structure, all those things, like for the new people actually. Then
Yes.
only as you can understand.
Okay. So in reactive, we have created this form. Okay. Inside this form, we have added validation on username and email. Required. Okay. And in form, what many fields we have taken? Username, email ID. Okay. I will create one more field over here is email required. Pull a new form control and by default it will be false value. Okay. So I have created
Your
new
voice
field.
is very low.
Now is it coming proper?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have added a new control. The name is email required. Okay. Now after username, what I will does, I will create a one more element with input type checkbox. Here I will build this control name. Okay. Is email required. Okay. Okay, form control was there. So form control class won't work on two elements. Which are those? First in checkbox. What is the second element where form control class won't work? Bootstrap form
Drop
control
down.
class. No,
That
drop down it
option.
will work.
That
Radio button, no? On radio button and on checkbox, our form control class won't work. Okay. See, anyone can ask anything because see, if we are an Angular developer, there are no many, there are very less question related to Bootstrap, right? What they can ask, na? Either grid structure and everything they can ask, but there are some tricky question like this also. Okay. No one has encountered. See, if we are adding a checkbox over here, so see your checkbox, how does it look? If you add the form control class, but if you remove it, then it will look proper. Just like the same case with radio button also. Okay. Now just see the form. We have username, then we have a checkbox, then email ID, full name like this. Okay. Why email ID validation is not getting triggered? Okay, only email validation we have shown. Let's show the required also. Okay. Now someone has to tell me the scenario. What scenario we have to do? So we have username, a checkbox, email, full name, and role and the password. What should happen if I check this checkbox? And what should happen vice versa? What we need to do?
If
If we click
checkbox
on,
is checked, then a text box is visible to enter email.
No. See the title. What is the title? What is the label? Is email required? Right? We don't have to hide the email text box. See,
In
we are
any
not
way,
going
we
to
have
hide.
to remove this required from email ID.
See, validation. So if user check this checkbox, then only email control should be required. If this is said like it is not required, then this will be optional. Got it? My task is, if this checkbox is checked, then only I should be able to see the required validation over here. If this is unchecked, I should not see this required validation. Means this will be now optional. Understood the task?
Yes.
Okay. So this is adding a dynamic validation. After once you created the form, after that you need to again dynamically add the validation or remove the validation from particular element. Okay. So this is, first of all, task is clear to everyone. What we need to do? Anyone have any doubt?
Sir, can you explain once?
See, you have a form. Inside that you have a checkbox. If this checkbox is checked, then only email text box should be mandatory. You should have a validation for email. If this is unchecked, then there should be no validation. Either user provided or not provided. Doesn't matter. Because we didn't say like it is email required. Got it?
Yes.
yes,
So validation of the email field depends if this checkbox is checked. Okay?
Okay.
Understood everyone?
Yes.
Now, so when we created the form, should we have this validation over here or no? When we are initializing the form for the first time,
I
should we have a validation over here or no? No, na? By default, no, na? Because you don't know, na? If it is checked or not. By default, it is false. So how come you have the validation? Okay. So let's remove this required validation for now. Okay.
I
So
want to
current,
ask one thing.
yeah.
In reactive form, we are adding validation in TypeScript only, na? But here we are adding validation in HTML also. Why?
Where we are adding validation?
In HTML, we are writing required.
Where? No. See, text box is only empty, empty.
Okay.
Okay. This is to show the validation message. We have not added required email pattern something on the input. Okay.
Yes,
See
I
now what
got
we
it.
have made. Okay. So when we created the form, we didn't have any validation, required validation on the email. Okay. Now what we need to do, once this email checkbox get changed, and if it is true, then only we need to add the validation. Okay. Now this is reactive form. How do we check the form value got changed or not? How do we check? If it was a template form, how do we do that? Let's say on this checkbox change, you need to write some code. How do we do that in template form? What function we write? ng on changes, na? Guys, I said we have a checkbox. If checkbox value get changed, we need to write some event on that. So how do we do that in normal template form? If that checkbox is binded with the ng model, so we can make use of ng model change event, correct? Now that same thing, how do we do that in reactive form? Arvind? Guys, those who are working, you should do.
At the rate if is email required, take the
No, no,
form
no.
control name.
No. I'm asking, how do we write the event on this? If this form control value got changed, how do we write the event? I need to write some code once this checkbox value get changed. How do we write that event?
In bracket is equal to check something.
No, really no one knows? This is basic.
Change
What
event.
topic are? No, change event is not proper. When in template form, you could have written the change event, but I'm asking specifically for reactive form. How do we do the same thing in reactive form?
Check it is equal to true something.
No. First of all, you got my question. I want to write the code on change of this checkbox. Once I change the checkbox value, either it is checked or unchecked, I need to write some code. So how we will write that code instead of change event? Anyone has heard value changes? Value changes in reactive form.
No, sir.
How come? Arvind, you have completed your current operation. Arvind is there? Arvind is not there. Okay. So see why everyone is focused on the reactive form so much, because it has so very detailed way of doing the or playing with the form. Okay. So I need to write a code if this particular control value got changed, means basically checkbox value got changed. So what I can do, I can subscribe to the value change, means if this control value got changed, I can subscribe to that. So in constructor, this dot our form name, user form dot control, sorry, square bracket, single quote. What is our control name? Is email required. Up till here, what do we got? We got the control dot value changes. No one has seen this also till now. Those who are having 4+ experience, na, this is very basic. I don't know,
Yes.
like the project you are working might not be using it, but this is very basic.
Syntax we
I
know.
saw ng
At
on
least
changes, right? That
same thing we used to do in template form by using ng on changes.
This
Now same.
okay.
value change and status change is the same thing. My similar.
No, status changes is not there. Nothing is there. Status change. Okay, status change is also there. Let's see what it does. A multicasting observable that emit every time the validate. Oh, this is for validation. If validation got changed, this is for that. But
Oh.
we are talking about value. Once value get changed, this is for value. Once value will change, then your subscribe will execute. Dot subscribe. What type of value we are going to get? Boolean. Okay, let's add a debugger. So see now, when this debugger will execute. Once I check this, see, I got the debugger triggered, and here we got the value true. Again I unchecked, see. So every time this checkbox value get changed, this subscribe will execute. So we are actually subscribing the value. Whenever value get changed, we can write that event now. Now understood? See, it's like in normal template form, let's say on change of this email ID, you need to write some code. So what you can do, either you can write change event in HTML or you can write ng model change. That is clear, everyone, in template form. Guys, see,
Yes.
everyone is think with me or living behind. If I ask, let's say you are in a machine test and someone provided you this form and they ask you, once the email value change, once the email value get changed, you need to show, let's say password and confirm password is something like that. If password change, you need to get that value and put it into confirm password also. So you will write the event on change of this text box, na, either by using change method or by ng on changes, right? So same thing, how do we do in reactive form? So in reactive form, we have controls, right? So we can subscribe, means we can monitor for value changes. Once this control value get changed, our this subscribe will execute. Okay. See, just like that again, I will another control user form dot, what is the second way? Full name dot control square bracket single quote dot value changes dot subscribe. Let's add a debugger. See now when this debugger will execute, when this subscribe will execute, and when this subscribe will execute. Full name. See, once I provide the value, my value changes got executed for the full name. Again I change. See, again it is executing, and whatever the value I'm entering, that also I'm getting over here. The value. What we are subscribing, value changes. So we will get value over here. Okay. Once I change the checkbox, my this subscribe is getting executed. Now clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, everyone needs to understand. Guys, everyone is able to relate now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now coming back to our actual work, what we were supposed to do, once this checkbox is checked, we need to add validation to this email control. Okay. So for that, inside this dot, first we need to add a if check. If, let's close this now. If this value is true, what we need to do? We need to add a validation on this email field. So this dot, our form dot control, control square bracket single quote our email. So here we got the control dot add validators is the method. Okay. What kind of validation you need to add? So validators dot required.
One thing I want to ask, this dot user form dot controls, why we are using that square bracket in email ID? We can use that.
See, if you directly add the email ID, na?
We can use that simple bracket parenthesis instead of this square bracket.
See, like this you are only saying, no?
No, bracket parenthesis, simple bracket parenthesis.
And
Round
direct email
bracket.
ID.
Round bracket.
Round bracket is
Round bracket? Like this?
Like this. Controls dot.
But in control, what do we get?
After controls, we dot.
Yeah, still dot. What do we get over here in control? What type of data we get over here?
Properties.
property.
Object.
Data type. Object, na?
Object. Okay.
See. This dot, let me print this. This dot control I'm printing, okay? Okay, now we are outside the debugger. Let me show you. Okay. Here I'm adding the debugger at line number 29. Let's reload. Now let me print these controls. What do we got over here? What is the data type?
Object.
So how do we read the value from the object?
Using array.
No,
With
either
dot
by using
notation.
dot operator or
Dot.
square bracket and single quote. Correct? Understood, Usha now? So we cannot use
Yes.
like that. Where do we use this? Where do we use this? Only in function, na? Round bracket. Okay. 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 So if the value is true, we are adding a validation required to this control. And if it is else, we need to remove it also. So this dot user form dot control square bracket single quote control name is email dot add validators. Sorry, we need to remove now. Remove validators dot required. Let's save and check now. Guys, be on mute. Somewhere is in call. So no. Someone. Please be on mute. See, now once I change the checkbox value, first of all, we will check what is the control, what is the validation we have in email. Okay. Still this code is not executed. Okay. We got the control inside that. Where do we see that validation? Anyone remember where do we see that validation? Validator. Let's check if we get this. Okay, here only you can see. So when we created the form, what is the validation we have added? Only email. Okay. So here you can see in raw validator, you can see only email validation is there. If we check the other one, that is the first one. What is the first one? Username. So you will be able to see two validation. Raw validator. See, required and form required and other one, I think min length, right? So we have two validation for the username, but in same case of email, we just have one validation, that is email. Okay. Now, if we run this code, so current value is true, so it will go over here and we are adding a required validation. So let's check now. Email. See, email and the required also. So we have added one more validation that is required. Okay. Let's check now. So if I touch, why it is not visible? Required user form dot control email ID touch. Let's try to print the error. I think we might to update the validity. Let's check first.
We have to add dot valid.
Where? No. Let's check. So by default it is empty. Once I touch, why nothing is getting printed? Okay. Now it is printing invalid email ID. But once I checked, now it is getting printed required. But why immediately it's not behaving? Okay. So currently email ID is checked. But still, okay, it is working. So see, if I say this checkbox is checked, okay, and if I provide the value and if I remove, required validation is getting triggered. Okay, because this checkbox is checked, and if we uncheck, we are removing the validation also. It will go to the else block and we are removing the validation. See, we are removing required validation, but immediately it's not getting. This should also get removed. Now, once I uncheck this required validation should not be over there. Once I am typing something and removing, then that validation is going away. So from our form, we are removing the validation, but in HTML, it's not updating like validation got removed or not. So for that, we have to do one more thing. Once if and else this dot user form dot controls square bracket single quote email ID dot update validators. What was that function? Some function was coming now.
Update on.
No, some function was coming now. Update something.
Update on.
Add update value and validity. Let's check this function, what it does. Let's see. Recalculate the value and validate validation status of the control. Yeah, let's check this. Why it's not okay, by default it is not required. So once I check, see, now required is coming. If I uncheck, see, now it is behaving perfect. Let me refresh. The problem earlier was we were removing from the form, but UI was not getting it the new rules and regulations. So to update it, we have to use this update value and validity. See, if I remove this now, what is happening? Just see one more time. Okay. So by so by default, if I checked and if I pass something, see validation, it is not triggering because in the form level it has updated the validation. But once I change now and once I remove, then your validation start working. So to handle that, we have to run this also. So it will update your template with the form. Again means this we are doing in the .ts, right? So we have to inform our form also from HTML that validation has changed. So we have to run this piece of code. Then your validation will trigger fine. See, now I have touch, but this is not checked. Once I check, see, validation is triggering properly. Okay. So when you, I don't know, like most of the people, you might not be using reactive form in your project, or there might not be scenarios like that, but there should be scenarios like this, or you might be handling it in some another ways instead of doing like this. Is there any validation dynamic in your control? If you provide this value to this drop down, some other element got mandatory or something like that. Anyone has done something like that? You might have done some another way, but this is how we should do. Add validator, and this is an intro question. How do we add a dynamic validation in reactive form? So by using add validator method, we add a dynamic validation. Clear? Understood, guys?
Yes.
See,
Yes.
that's why most of the interviewer don't focus on the template form. They will only focus on the reactive form. Okay. Let's say my previous project, JP Morgan. In JP Morgan, around at least I have worked on 7 application in 2 years. 7 application, different application. Everywhere we are using reactive form only. We don't use template anywhere. Now in my current project, Citibank also, I have worked on 4 application. Everywhere only reactive form. No one will use template form because this kind of validations are there. If we change this value around in each form, we will at least have 20 field, at least minimum 20 field in each form. In each form, we will have minimum 20 field, maximum 100 fields are also there in each form. I have not seen a single form with 5 to 6 field. Okay. So when you have 20 field in your form, so many rules and regulations are there. If you provide, let's say, in India, we have PAN card, right? Just like that, in Italy, we have fiscale code. Whatever we do with PAN card now, there they have fiscale code. Okay. So our PAN card validation, let's say you have a drop down for identity proof. If you select PAN card and you have identity card number, so here you need to add PAN card validation pattern. And if you select fiscale card, on this control, you need to add fiscale card validation, other validation for that their PAN card. Now you got it?
Yes.
Okay, forget
Yes.
about that.
So
Yes.
drop down, the validation also change, right?
Right. So let's say you have identity proof drop down over here. In that you have Aadhaar card and PAN card. And after that you have identity card number text box. On change of this, you will add the validation. Na? If you select Aadhaar card, you need to add some different pattern. On if you select PAN card, you need to add a different validation. Got it? So this is how we do that. You might have done, but you might have used some another way, but this is the right way. Okay. And this value changes, this was very basic. Our main concept was this, but you only guys didn't know this, so this was strange for me. This is very basic when it comes to reactive form. In interview, everyone asks this question: how do we uh, write code on the value changes of any controller? How do we know that control value got changed? We subscribe to that value changes. Okay. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
Okay. Let me stop the recording.